I'm Wedad, and I'm going to be reporting our introduction for this report. Understanding corporate social responsibility. One of the key challenges are the lack of clarity surrounding corporate social responsibility. While it's often discussed, there is no cohesive meaning without proper governance processes in place. Additionally, legislative changes are rarely mentioned, leading to a debate on whether laws should impose socially responsible governance or allow contracts to regulate it. Let's delve deeper into these complexities. Balancing stakeholder interests. In the realm of corporate social responsibility, the focus shifts towards balancing stakeholder interests over mere profit maximization. While managers may traditionally prioritize shareholders, they are increasingly incentivized to consider the broader spectrum of stakeholders, including employees, customers, and society at large. Political and societal influences play a significant role in shaping these priorities, urging managers to boost social wealth alongside shareholder satisfaction. Challenges in implementing social responsibility. As we navigate the landscape of corporate social responsibility implementation, we encounter various challenges. Critics argue that laws mandating socially responsible governance impose additional costs on corporations and may undermine shareholder accountability. There's a concern that empowering stakeholders without proper oversight could lead to accountability issues for those faced with shareholder accountability. These challenges underscore the complexities inherent in the pursuit of socially responsible business practices. Enhancing shareholder accountability. Our final focus area in the introduction revolves around enhancing shareholder accountability within the framework of corporate social responsibility. While there is a growing discourse on making management more accountable to shareholders, the feasibility of such measures remains in question. Corporate directors wield significant power in large organizations, yet gaps in shareholder voting and fiduciary responsibility pose challenges in controlling publicly held firms. Despite these challenges, there is a trend towards long-term strategic investments aimed at ensuring both immediate and future profitability, reflecting the evolving landscape of corporate social responsibility and corporate governance.
Agency problem in corporate governance. In a company, shareholders or the owners can't manage everything themselves, so they hire a board of directors to oversee things. This creates a principal-agent relationship where shareholders are the principals or boss and the board of directors are the agents or workers. But the board can't manage daily operations, so they hire executive and managers, creating another layer of principal-agent relationship. However, sometimes the goals of the board, executive, and managers might not fully align with the shareholders' want. To fix this mismatch and prevent issue, laws have been put in place to clearly define everything, roles and responsibilities, ensuring that the company leaders act in the best interest of the shareholders. Next is diversification versus dividend. Imagine a company is a piggy bank that after paying for all its project and expenses, they found out that there's still money left. And this leftover money is called free cash flow. Now, there's a choice on what to do with that extra cash. The first choice is the managers or the people who are running the company day to day often want to use it to branch out into new areas or product, believing it will make the company bigger and more successful in the future. This is known as diversification. Then second choice is the shareholders, or the shareholders usually prefer that this extra money is given to them as dividend, which are cash payout, so they see it as their share of the company's profit. The debate over whether to reinvest the money in the company or give it back to the shareholders is a common conflict, showing the different interests between managers and shareholders. This difference is priority is an example of agency problem. Managerial opportunism. This term refers to managers making decisions that benefit themselves more than shareholders. For example, managers might pursue growth through adding new unrelated product or buying other companies or unrelated diversification because it can lead to higher salaries for them or make their job more secure. Even these decisions don't necessarily make the most financial sense for the shareholders. Second is sometimes a part of company might not be doing well and could be costing more money than it's making. However, managers might keep it running because they benefit it in some way from it, like receiving management fees even if it's not in the best interest of the company or its shareholders. In essence, this issue highlights the conflict between what's good for managers versus what's good for the shareholders, and the need of mechanism like advisory board to ensure managers always act in the best interest of shareholders. Power supremacy versus technical expertise. Think of a group of people who have some extra money. Instead of just keeping this money in bank, they decide to invest in a company, hoping that the company will use this money to grow and eventually pay them back more than they invested through its profit. These people are the investor or shareholders of the company. Now, these investors are good at deciding where to put their money, but they might not know how to actually run the company they invested in. So they leave the job of running the company to the expert or managers and executives who knows the ins and out of the business. In this setup, even though the investors own the company and technically have the ultimate say in this big decision, they usually don't get involved in the daily business operation. They trust the expert to do their job and make the company successful. So it's like the investors are saying, we'll let you handle the hard work and we'll wait for our share of the profit. The investors have the power but rely on the expert to use their knowledge to make everything work. Trust. Imagine you give a friend some money to buy something for you because you trust them to make the best decision. In this business world, shareholders like you give money to company managers or directors or your friend because they trust them to make the best decision to make the company successful. The shareholders believe these managers will run the company well planned for its future. However, sometimes because the managers know the shareholders trust them a lot, they might start to feel too comfortable. They might think, we have the trust of shareholders, so we can do pretty much what we want. This overconfidence or comfort can lead to poor decision or action that benefits the managers more than the shareholders. This situation where managers might take advantage of their position because they're not being closely watched.
Adverse selection. Ito yung isa sa mga agency problems kapag inefficient yung information na binibigay. For example, yung agency ang nilagay nila sa resume ng isang agent is good credential, as in kung ikaw ang company na mahahire mo yun talaga yung agent na yon kasi ang ganda ng credential, only to find out na actual na nag-work yung agent na yon sa company na hindi pala totoo yung resume. Of course, hindi talaga si agency ang nagbibigay ng inefficient information, pati yung principal, which is yung company mismo. For example, sinasabi ng company na ang hinahire lang daw nila ay accounting agency is yung sumusunod sa ethical standards. When it comes to financial statement, it's only to find out nung nag-hire na accounting agency na yon, ang sinasabi ng principal ay huwag sundin ang ethical standards. Agency cost naman, ito yung significant cost na ginagastos or gagastusin ng principal para ma-monitor yung agency na kung talagang ginagawa nila yung trabaho nila. Ang example nito ay mga nagmo-monitor ng activities tulad ng reports, observation visits, supervision, third-party assurance like compliance audit, and external financial audit. If ever naman hindi magkakandak ng ganito si principal, ay maaaring magkaroon ng inappropriate na managerial action at mababawasan ng wealth ng shareholders. And conflict and interest naman is between agency and principal is very possible talaga, lalo-lalo na may authorized si agency to manage the resources of the company. For example, ang objectives ni principal is to maximize their wealth, while si agent naman, ang gusto niya is ma-promote sa trabaho at para tumaas yung sahod at para tumaas din yung status. So, meron talagang conflict of interest talaga na nangyayari para ma-lessen yung ganito. The principal needs to conduct agency costs. Legal requirements are the rules of regulations that individual and organization must follow, often by set of government or regulation bodies. In other hand, opportunistic behavior involves the taking advantage of situation for personal gain without necessarily breaking any laws. In essence, the legal requirements focus to compliance with the established rules, while the opportunistic behavior centers around the seizing opportunities for personal benefit. Self-interest behaviors refers to the action or decision made based on one's own personal benefits or advantage. It involves to prioritize one's needs, desires, or goals over the interests of others. This behavior is driven by the individual desire to maximize their own well-being, to gain in the given situation.
I am Angeline Fernandez, and for my report is all about remedies within shareholders. So, what are remedies of shareholders? So, there are three bases on which an application can be made to the court for shareholders' remedies by a shareholder who seeks justice, namely an unfair, pre-justice petition, a derivative claim, and petition for unjust and equitable grounds. So, why we have remedies of shareholders or within shareholders? So in business, remedy is defined as a legal or equitable means of enforcing a right or redressing a wrong. So remedies can take many forms, including damage, restitution, specific performance, and injunctions. So the appropriate remedy is usually based on the type of legal claim involved. So as a shareholders of a company, it's important to know that in certain circumstances, the law gives you the right to remedies or legal actions you can take as a shareholders. So if you are in a shareholder dispute with the company and its directors, or if you think that your rights as a member are being compromised. So what is proxy voting? So proxy voting is a form of voting whereby a member of a decision-making body may delegate their voting power to a representative to enable a vote in absence. So under the proxy voting, under the law, a shareholder has no right to cast votes by proxy and shareholders meeting without a special authority given by the supposed voting shareholders. So second is, it also provides the required quorum of votes to undertake important corporate undertakings. Third, in corporate setting, proxy voting's use is normally limited to voting at the annual meeting for directors, or the sanction of the acts of the directors, or the increase of decrease of capital and other crucial amendments in the policies of the organizations. So now let's proceed to the benefits of proxy voting. So we have 7 benefits of proxy voting. So the first one is routine decision. So routine decision making is the process of making decisions or choices or taking actions that are predictable and form an integral part of daily operational tasks within the retail sector. These decisions are often characterized by their recurring nature and the standardized processes that guide their executions. So the second one is the governance. So governance is the process of making and enforcing decision within an organizational society. It encompasses decision-making rules, setting, and enforcement mechanism to guide the functioning of an organization or society. So for instance, a government may operate as a democracy where netizens vote who should govern and the public goods is the goal, while a non-profit organization or a corporation may be governed by a small board of directors and pursue more specific aims. So the third one is the anti-takeover. So the anti-takeover is any action that is taken on a continual or sporadic basis by a firm's management to prevent or deter unwanted takeovers by another firm or groups of investors. So an anti-takeover is any actions taken by a company to prevent it from being acquired by another company. So, acquiring companies may wish to purchase a company to reduce competition, increase market share, or to run it better to make it more profitable. So, anti-takeover can be continuous as part of the business plan or sporadic occurring only when a company believes it might be acquired. So to take over a company, an acquirer looks to purchase a majority percentage of outstanding shares, gaining votes. Common anti-takeover measure includes the defense, the macaroni defense, and the poison pill. So the anti-takeover seek to make the stock less appealing, more expensive, or otherwise difficult to push votes through approve or takeovers understanding an anti-takeover. So the third one is the what is the purpose of derivative suit. So it refers to one or more shareholders bringing an action or lawsuit in the name of the corporation against a party or parties allegedly causing harm to the latter. If the directors or officers or employees of the corporation are not willing to file an action, a shareholder may first petition them to proceed. Now let's proceed to the specific feature. So specific features is product traits or attributes that deliver value to end user and differentiate a product in the market. For example, the battery life of an electronic battery can be considered a feature, because when it comes to software, product features can include any of the applications, functionalities, capabilities, and even its visual characteristics. Now let's proceed to the process. So a business process is defined as a series of tasks or a set of activities performed by a group or stakeholders to achieve an organizational goal. So the process are formed by people or system in a structured manner to attain a predefined objective. For example, example of process is the product manufacturing, order to cash process, at delivering products to customers. So let's proceed. The last benefits of proxy voting is a takeover. So a takeover is type of acquisition that occurs when one organization purchases another, usually when a large company buys smaller one. So purchasing company is called the acquirer, while the other one is being purchased is called the target takeover. A takeover occurs when one company makes successful to assume control of or acquire another. So takeovers can be done by purchasing a majority stake in the target firm. So takeovers are also commonly done through the merger and acquisitions process.
So, types of takeover. First, we have a friendly takeover. It happens when one company wants to buy another. So, kinakausap nila yung mga board of the company if they want to buy it first. If nag-agree yung board and they think it's a good idea na ma-benefit din ng shareholders, they recommend accepting the offer. It's called friendly because lahat ng board of directors or lahat ng part of the board agrees to the deal. So we have hostile takeover. The company looking to buy doesn't get the market company's management on board first. Instead, they might make an offer directly to the shareholders without the target company's approval. It's called hostile because the target company's board doesn't agree to the deal, but the buyer keeps pushing to it. It can also be hostile if the offer is made without telling the target company's board beforehand. A reverse takeover. It is when a private company wants to become publicly traded without going through the usual process of an initial public offering. Instead, the private company buys a significant portion of shares in a publicly traded company, gaining control over it. Then, the private company's shareholders exchange their shares for shares in the public company. After this exchange, the publicly traded company effectively becomes the private company. With its shares now owned by the former private company shareholders, it's called a reverse merger or reverse IPO. A tender offer is a takeover proposal where a prospective buyer publicly invites all shareholders of a publicly traded company to sell their shares at a specified price within a set time frame. This offer is communicated directly to the shareholders, bypassing the target company's management or board of directors. Unlike in other types of takeovers, the target company's directors may not necessarily support or endorse the proposal. Financing a takeover. We have three here. First, we have debt financing. Second, partial or full equity conversion. And third, share swap, all share deal. So in debt financing, where instead of using their own money, a company borrows money from a bank or sells bonds to pay for buying another company. The debt is like a loan that the bought company has to pay back later. This helps the buyer to keep more of its own money but adds that to the bought company's books. So in partial or full equity conversion, instead of paying with cash, the buyer offers the owners of the company they want to buy a mix of cash and shares in the buyer's company. So this can be better for the owners because it might help them pay less in taxes. So in share swap all share deal, the buyer gives the owners of the other company shares in their own company instead of cash. This makes the other company's owners part owners of the buyer's company. They might still have some say in how things are run, even though they own less of the new combined company.
Good day, my name is Czarl Juliano and I will be reporting external forces affecting governance. In external forces affecting governance, we have 6 factors, and these are competitors, financiers, regulatory agencies, watchdogs, predator companies, and information enhancers and gatekeepers. So let's begin. So the first factor to tackle is competitors. Competitors refers to corporations and other business entities, private or public, offering the same product or services that the company is offering. This external factor affect corporate governance, considering that to the eyes of the investors, the best run businesses are the most attractive for investment. For example, ng competitor is ang McDo at ang Burger King. They are both known food services, and they are both known also in the international. The next is financiers. These are individual or entities who manages routinely huge amount of money. Financiers only invest in companies with good track record and reputation to protect, and this may mean the company will be around for a longer period of time. Financiers affect the company's governance in the sense that being the fund provider, financiers wants their investment secured. Ang company, minimake sure nila na meron sila na maganda ang kanilang good credit, hindi kaya financial standing nila. In order to continue to have investors invest in their company. The next is regulatory agencies and watchdogs. Regulatory agencies refers to a public authority or government agency responsible for exercising autonomous authority over some area of corporate activity in a regulatory or supervisory capacity. Regulatory agencies deal in area of administrative law regulations, that is enforcing rules and regulations and imposing supervision or oversight for the benefits of the public at large. For example, DTI, BIR. Those are the government agencies. The fourth external factors are watchdogs. These are the independent organizations trying to police a particular industry or corporate conduct to make certain that the activities of these companies are accordance with the acceptable standards and existing laws. Kaya siya tinawag na watchdogs. From the name itself, watchdogs. Sila yung nagre-remind sa corporation na bantayan yung bawat action nila at gumagawa sila ng business nila in a fair way. At kung sumusunod pa rin ba sila sa batas ng government. Second to the last is the predator companies. Predator companies are the corporations that are always on the watch and waiting to take over certain company, be it via friendly or hostile takeover. Tinawag siya na predator companies kasi sila binabantayan nila yung other companies na hinihintay rin nila, binabantayan nila kung pwede na ba nila kukunin yung company. Kasi isang pagkakamali lang ng company, pwede masira yung buong corporation at saka yung reputation ng kumpanya. Last but not the least is the information enhancer, provider, and gatekeeper. The gatekeepers refer to independent third-party persons or entity whose cooperation is important because they have capability to at least deter, if not prevent, misconducts of corporations. Examples are accountants and lawyers. Cooperation is important para sa mga gustong pumasok sa financial market, para sa mga baguhan na investors. Importante siya para malaman mo kung tama ba yung pinasukan mong company, kung tama ba yung i-invest mo, tama ba na yung company na yun is doon ka mag-i-invest. Sila yung magbibigay ng payo sa'yo kung tama ba o mali yung gagawin. That's all. Thank you.
So let us now proceed to the next topic, which is investment banker and the roles of investment banker. So investment bankers. Investment bankers. Okay. So investment banker. So investment banker, it is an individual or entity which acts as an agent for a corporation issuing securities. So as we say securities, these are tradable financial instruments used to raise capital for public and private markets. And investment bankers, or rather an investment banker, is different from the traditional banks in the latter does not deposit and provide loans to individuals or corporations. So unlike regular banks, investment bankers don't give out loans or accept deposits. They focus on raising money for companies by selling securities. And it's all about connecting companies with investors who want to buy these said securities. And so, for the role of investment bankers, there are three roles, which are the organization, which are for investigation, analysis, and research. Second is underwriting. This involves public cash offerings. And last, we have the third, which is the distribution. And we'll tackle that further beyond the other reporters. So, in time, when a corporation issues and sells new securities to increase funds, this offering is called a primary issue. And investment banker, the agent responsible for finding buyers for these securities for sale. So, generally, investment banking firms perform three functions, and the first one is organization, which involves investigation, analysis, and research. And this covers the secondary operations of A for discovery, and this is finding the potential issue of securities. B for investigation, and it is the testing and analyzing of the investment credit of the potential security issuer, and including the inherent reliability of this issue. Next is negotiation, and it is the determination of the amount, the price, and the terms of the proposed issue. So, in a nutshell, the primary function of the investment banking is the cautious study of the soundness and the reliability of the corporation with the view of bringing its securities to the investment market. The soundness and the reliability of the corporation. So, for the second function of the three functions, we have underwriting, and this involves public cash offerings. So, underwriting is an arrangement with an investment banker whereby the investment banker agrees to buy the entire issue of at a set price. And under the context of public cash offerings, it involves an agreement between a company and the bank, or rather the investment banker. And in this arrangement, the investment banker commits to purchasing the entire batch of securities at a fixed price. And in this commitment, provides assurance to the issuing company that it will be able to raise the desired capital from the sales of securities. And underwriting can be completed in two ways. First is the negotiated underwriting, second is the competitive bidding. With negotiated underwriting, which is agreed and arranged negotiation between the issuing company and the investment banker. As I said earlier, the company and the investment banker, a negotiation between the two. Second is the competitive bidding, and it is a setup in which the issuing company awards the offering to the investment banker that bids the highest price. So, as it is a bidding, a setup of bidding, whichever uh, gives the highest price is the one who will be uh, claiming the said securities. So, moving on, in case where large risky securities is involved, investment bankers pull together to form a syndicate. And a syndicate is a temporary union of investment bankers brought together for the purpose of selling new securities. And the term for originating house, it is a term given to one investment banker who is chosen to manage and handle the syndicate. And for the syndicate, these have two types of underwriting syndicate. First is the divided syndicate, and second is the undivided syndicate. For the divided syndicate, each member group has legal responsibility of selling a portion of offerings allocated to them. So, in a divided syndicate, the underwriting of securities is split among multiple groups, each responsible for selling a portion of the offerings assigned to them, and this structure spreads the selling responsibility and risk of various entities. Members of the syndicate collaborate closely to coordinate the selling efforts, leveraging their expertise and resources to maximize the success of the offering. So, next we have the undivided syndicate, and here each member group is legally responsible for unsold securities up to the amount of its percentage of participation, regardless of the number of securities that group has sold. So, undivided syndicate, every member shares the responsibility for unsold securities based on the percentage of their participation, no matter how many securities they have sold individually. And this setup spreads the risk evenly among the members, and it's commonly used for larger offerings to make the decision making simpler, and it reassures the investors about the commitment of the underwriting team. Moving on, we have the last function of the three functions, which is distribution. And here, the investment banker acts as a professional firm to distribute securities efficiently for the corporation. And the advantage of this setup that it brings the issuing company is it saves resources of the issuer while also considering that maintaining a division relating marketing and selling of securities is expensive. So it is being very considerate despite having a very expensive division that relates to marketing and selling of securities. And investment bankers offers security to both corporation issuing securities and the investors buying securities. And so making a solid and sound issues of securities is the investment banker's business. It is here where its reputation is being harnessed. Therefore, it can be expected that the firm will take care of it at any cost. So here they harness their reputation, making them rather trustworthy and reliable since they stated here that they are making a solid and sound issues of securities. That's how they harness their reputation. And that is all. Thank you.
Next is role of stock exchanges. First is to raise capital. Because through initial public offering or IPO, companies are able to raise their capital to fund new operations and expand projects, which contributes to the business to increase in revenue. Second role is to mobilize savings. When investing in stock exchange, it increases revenue, which a company will have more money to spend its expenses towards advertising, manufacturing, and other areas in business. And all of the money invested is contributed to economic growth and improved productivity of the firm. Third is, it facilitates growth. Stock exchanges provides a place for an individual to invest their cash rather than to spend it to unmeaningful things. And if they choose to invest it, it will be utilized that will benefit our economic system and create a more efficient economy. Fourth role is, it distributes profit. When investing in stock exchange, the investors wait until the dividends to take place, meaning they wait until the money that they invested generated an income, and after they find new shares to other investors and sell those shares when those stock price increases. Fifth role is, it improves corporate governance. When an investor knows that your business is poorly handled, then they won't invest in the shares of company, Thus, the company won't grow and big investors will not invest in your company. On the other hand, when your company is greatly handled and your facilities work efficiently, then, for sure, big investors will invest and put their trust in your business. In exchange, you will exceed their expectations and continue to improve your business efficiency and overall production. The work environment is not toxic and all opinions are accepted, thus improving corporate governance. Last is it creates opportunities for small investors. While there are big investors, let's not forget about small investors that want to have a percentage of shares in your company. These small investors have a little amount of money to invest, that's why they take these opportunities to create more revenues for them.